I'll get right into it. We're going to talk. I have a little chat on parents and kids, that relationship. I feel inspired too, so for whatever reason. So I'm going to flow with it because it usually ends up helping someone or something, so I'll go with it. And yes, I'm driving, so if I'm not looking at the camera, you know why. Yes, I'm not wearing a seatbelt. I already know you guys are going to say that. I rarely wear a seatbelt. It just bothers me going across my chest. Or whatever. I understand possible repercussions, blah, blah, blah. I understand. I'm aware. Okay, so let's switch lanes here. So, back to what I was saying about the parent and child relationship. You know, look, we all want the best for our kids, you know, and I'm speaking very general when I say that. You know, the general parent, you want what's best for your kid. And you want to see them do better than you, ideally, in life. But I think what's missing here and what's not really taken much into account is our direct influence on our kids and what quality of a human being you're creating by your direct influence. And when I say direct influence, I don't necessarily I'm not saying it's not a factor, but I don't necessarily mean what you're telling them to be or what you're telling them they need to do to be whatever. That's a very small part of it. The much larger part is how you behave, how you emotionally regulate yourself, how you're going about life, and whether or not you're going about yourself and life in a fashion where it promotes a space for healing and growth, or if it promotes a space of stagnant energy or even backtracking or bad habits or things like that. Now look, man, let me say this first. I'm not saying that us parents, we have to be perfect. Because, one, there's no such thing. Two, because we all come with our own shit. We are also dealing with our own shit. And yes, there is such thing as a separation between you and your kid as individual human beings. There's things that you're dealing with within you that have nothing to do with your kid, but the way that you carry yourself because you have those things in you have an influence on your kid. Let me give you an example. Let's say mom or dad has been through XYZ, and that XYZ was really, it really took a toll on them personally. It could be trauma. It could be a heartbreak, loss, grief, whatever it is. And that may not relate to your kid. That is something that you went through as an individual on your own that took a toll. Now, the way that it affects your kid is if it goes unchecked. You don't actively seek healing and solutions and actively look for growth mindset. You're not emotionally regulating yourself. You're lashing out on your kid. You're expecting them to make better decisions than you did without them actually seeing you trying to make better decisions for yourself. You expect them to not lash out when you're lashing out. It doesn't work that way. You have to be that example. Again, I'm not saying perfection. But I think it is healthy for your kid to see that you're trying to make progress. They don't have to know what happened. They don't have to know details and things like that. But when you see yourself going that way, check yourself. Let them see that it is okay to check yourself. That is very healthy. It's way better than lashing out and then thinking you're right for doing so, or justifying your lashing out. Because now that's the example they have to go off of, and then don't get mad when they do that to you and then they start justifying why they lashed out. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way you carry yourself in day-to-day life will influence the environment that they grow up in, which influences the decisions they make and how they feel about themselves, people, and the world. So I don't think kids are really looking for a perfect parent. Okay, I think that they just, it's better to have a parent that makes the environment around their kid okay with falling down and getting up, making it okay and normalizing checking yourself and questioning your behavior and taking deep breaths in and out and regulating your emotions so that you don't lash out and do things you're going to feel bad about after. To be okay with expressing emotion in a healthy way. That part is up to us. It is up to us to do our best to make sure that is the kind of environment that we're promoting. And you cannot, I know that there's some parents that really feel they do promote that, and maybe it's your intentions, but your actions, if your actions don't line up with it, then you're not actually promoting it, and it's time to be honest with yourself and take accountability for that, and then just do better moving forward now that you know this. Not to shame yourself, not to put yourself down for it and say you're a bad parent. That is counterproductive, and it's not true. You're first and foremost a human being who has been through XYZ in your own walk and has been affected by it. And we all are responsible for our own healing. And the first part of that is being aware of it. Okay, you have to be honest with yourself. Maybe I haven't created the best environment for my kid to be emotionally optimal. You know, to be honest with yourself without judgment, without bringing yourself down or shaming yourself is a huge move forward. Absolutely huge. It's a sign that you're willing to grow and mature emotionally. And it's going to pay off not just for you in your life as an adult, but it's going to pay off in your life as a parent. Because now your kid, by seeing you fall and get back up and normalizing expressing emotions in a healthy way and creating a safe space, they can begin to do that as well and thrive in their own lives. All right. Now, when I'm saying this, I'm referring to when you're raising your kid. Once your kid moves out and they go out in the world and find who they are for themselves, their experiences are completely their own, and they are now responsible for themselves. Okay? So I'm talking about while you're raising your kid. Now, if your kid is old enough to where they've moved out and created their own lives, and maybe now you're noticing that you're responsible for some of their outcome, it's okay to acknowledge that. I'm not saying don't acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge it. It may even be a healing for both of you, for you to come forward and be honest in a healthy way. But the parents where your kid is still with you, living with you in the home, I support you in you finding your own healing as a person and waking up every day with intention, and you see yourself heightening, you take a few breaths and you tell them that you need a moment, and we're going to step away from this conversation, we're going to breathe, and we'll come back to it in a healthier way. You will help in not only learning to regulate your own emotions in a better way, you will be more successful at creating an emotionally regulated kid into an emotionally regulated adult by doing that, rather than lashing out, hitting, or you better do this, you better do that, and you know, when you yourself may not be, you know, like that right there in itself is an example of not being emotionally regulated. You're not regulating your emotions, so you're with your actions, you're saying that reacting is okay. You understand what I'm saying? Reacting and responding are two totally different things. Reacting is, oh, my emotions are there, so fuck you. By you doing that, you're saying to your kid it's okay to do that. Even though maybe your words are saying it's not. But your actions are completely the opposite. And they're going to go by your actions. Now, if you take a deep breath, take a few deep breaths, take a moment for yourself, come back to the conversation later when you both are not at a heightened emotional state to where now what's being said can be absorbed and understood. Now you're setting the right example for emotional regulation. And by you doing that and showing them that, they can carry that in their own lives and how they choose to respond to whatever may happen in their life. So parents, yes, we have to take responsibility for their emotional well-being at certain ages and what we're doing in front of them. All right, we do. Now, I'm not saying when they're around don't be human. I'm not saying live a double life where in front of your kid you're one person and then in private you're going absolutely chaotic nuts. Okay, I'm not saying do that. I'm saying if you learn to do it for yourself, then creating that safe space for them to do that as well is going to be a byproduct of you already working on yourself. They will feel safe that they can do that. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Even growing with them. Some people have really gone through some shit in front of or with their kid. So volunteering to make it a team effort, to let's heal together. Let's really, that's also a good thing. You both can build a really strong bond in creating a better life and quality of self and quality of life with each other. That's a very strong positive thing too. Now, do they need to know everything? Probably not. But if, like I said, the way you handle situations will have an influence on how they feel about themselves, people, the world, and how they go about responding or reacting. They're not, they're separate human beings, but they're going by your example. They are. There's parts of me that I'm still healing that is from my parents, from what I saw growing up, that may have not been the most optimal healthy example of going about whatever it is. You know, I'll catch it and be like, oh, there it is. And I acknowledge it, and then I'll implement my new wisdom in that place and practice my new wisdom until it becomes an automatic behavior on its own. So I am also doing work on me. And so this is why I fully support you in you doing your work as well. I support you. Please do this in a healthy way. There's no need to feel shame or feel like you're a bad parent, because that's not what it actually is. It's really not. You're a human who's been through things as well, who has past conditionings as well, like any other human. And you have to take your own healing into your own hands and practice new healthy ways every day, so that you create a better quality person, you, that can create a better quality life. You cannot create the better quality life and skip over you and worry about you after. That's not how it works. You have to create a better you so that you can create a better quality life. And that means shifting unhealthy reactions to healthy responses. That means instead of trying to control others, we actually take a step back and see why do we feel the need to do that, and what may we not be addressing within ourselves that needs our attention, so that we can go about this in a healthier way and get a better result. You know, it's just self-analysis. And it's a very, very healthy thing to do. And like I said, I fully support you. I encourage you to do this from a place of experimenting and optimism, rather than a place of self-judgment and shame. You're only going to get a good result by doing it with good intent. So do not judge yourself. Don't put yourself down. Realize, be honest with yourself. Realize what it may have caused and what it may have created. And look at it from a place of non-judgment, but just a place of newfound wisdom that you can now experiment with in a healthy way to create a better you and a better environment for your family and your children. I fully support you. I send you a lot of love. And I'm going to walk into Whole Foods now. Love you guys.